Well, it begins by teaching young people to think about the world around them, think about people around them, and what the needs are that have to be addressed. So it starts by teaching them a servant spirit. And then the whole scouting structure of the patrol, the troop, and how they learn to interact with others teaches them how to work collaboratively with others, how to resolve differences, because not everyone is going to agree in the patrol on each outing as to how we might want to proceed. So it teaches them at a very young age how to work with others in a positive way, how to recognize we may not always agree, but there is always a solution we can agree upon, and then how to implement that. So I think the important aspects of the scouting experience for young people are those two elements of the servant spirit and how to work with others. And I am convinced, as sure as I sit here, that that scouting experience is going to shape that young person, and they are going to be much more successful no matter what career choices they may make. They won't necessarily end up perhaps in a leadership position, but just they will be a better citizen of their community. They will be a better family member in their family. They will be a better member of their neighborhood, their city, their town. And if they end up in a significant leadership position, they'll be a better leader. And I think that continuous involvement and engagement with scouting at some level, even though at times it was fairly distant, but maintaining that engagement has always reinforced in me, as I see in the young people what's happening. I remember when that happened to me, and I realize today that is part of the way I am. It is part of the way I lead. It's part of the way I think, and most importantly, it's part of the way I make decisions. All business leaders and corporations and businesses have a responsibility to teach young people those aspects that are going to be important to them as they become adults. Our future, our lifeblood as organizations depend upon the quality of individuals whom we will have available to bring into our businesses as workers, employees, but ultimately as the next generation of leaders to run our corporations. And if we wait to start that process when they come to work for us, we're too late. And so I think all of us have an obligation to identify those youth-serving organizations that are based on these kinds of values and are providing the kinds of opportunities for young people to make mistakes in a safe way. One of the other strengths of the scouting organization and the methods that are used in scouting to instill these values in young people, to teach them the leadership and followership, is providing a safe environment in which they can make mistakes, a safe environment in which they can fail and learn from that failure and learn from those mistakes in a positive way, where they'll have another opportunity to try again. And the consequences will not be devastating. It will not be devastating to their self-confidence either. And that is something that, in my observation over many, many years, is very unique to scouting. So I think businesses, corporations, business leaders have an obligation to be engaged in organizations that provide that type of opportunity for young people to grow and mature in that type of an environment. So it's the reason we're a significant supporter of scouting and have been for many years. I'm personally very significant supporter. Well, business leaders and their business entities, I think, can do there's a couple of things that they should think about doing with respect to scouting in their local communities, in their country. And there's two ways to engage. One is with your time and your intellectual talent to volunteer, and that's what I have done personally over many years, and that's what many of our employees at ExxonMobil are engaged at the local level, either because they have their own children involved in the program, but many are engaged because they want to bring their skills to this organization as well by teaching young people. The second level is with your financial resources. Like anything, it takes money to run and maintain and deliver a quality program to young people. Someone has to develop the program materials. Someone has to provide the facilities for the activities, particularly the outdoor experiences. Someone has to maintain the architecture and maintain the integrity around the program delivery itself. So I encourage business leaders and their businesses to engage at both levels, because I think the direct engagement of your time and your talent is just as important as the delivery of your financial support as well. I also think what I have found, and everyone I engage with who does both has found, I get as much out of that engagement of my time and talent as I give, more so probably, and it really reinforces then the confidence with the financial support, because I know what my financial support is going to deliver. So I would encourage business leaders, if they've not had any engagement with scouting, I would encourage them to get in touch with the local organization, and if nothing else, sit down with them and spend a little time, learn something about it. I think you will find it well worth the effort and the time to understand what is going on with scouting in your local community, and then it will give you also a better understanding of the impact your financial contributions are going to have, and it'll give you the confidence that this is a good spend of our resources. There is a huge return, I think, on any investment that one would make in the scouting movement in terms of what you're going to receive back in your local community. You're really learning how to take your mental attributes and shape them to be as successful as you can be.
The ExxonMobil is and you personally, you are great supporters of scouting. Mm-hmm. What sort of advice would you give to business colleagues in the rest of the world for what they ought to do in order to support scouting and to develop the next generation of leaders, which would benefit their business and community as a whole? What should they be doing?
Well, business leaders and their business entities, I think, can do there's a couple of things that they should think about doing with respect to scouting in their local communities in their country. And there's two ways to engage. One is with your time and your intellectual talent to volunteer, and that's what I have done personally over many years, and that's what many of our employees at ExxonMobil are engaged at the local level, either because they have their own children involved in the program, but many are engaged because they want to bring their skills to this organization as well by teaching young people. The second level is with your financial resources. Like anything, it takes money to run and maintain and deliver a quality program to young people. Someone has to develop the program materials. Someone has to provide the facilities for the activities, particularly the outdoor experiences. Someone has to maintain the architecture and maintain the integrity around the program delivery itself. So I encourage business leaders and their businesses to engage at both levels, because I think the direct engagement of your time and your talent is just as important as the delivery of your financial support as well. I also think what I have found, and everyone I engage with who does both has found, I get as much out of that engagement of my time and talent as I give, more so probably, and it really reinforces then the confidence with the financial support, because I know what my financial support is going to deliver. And so I can be very confident this is a good spend of my dollars, it's a good spend of the company's dollars, because I see what's going to be delivered. So I would encourage business leaders, if they've not had any engagement with scouting, I would encourage them to get in touch with the local organization, and if nothing else, sit down with them and spend a little time, learn something about it. I think you will find it well worth the effort and the time to understand what is going on with scouting in your local community, and then it will give you also a better understanding of the impact your financial contributions are going to have. And it'll give you the confidence that this is a good spend of our resources.
I once did an investment case for scouting, and I realized that that actually the reason why scouting is really a good investment for an individual or for a corporation is the fact that it has a 50-year or more impact. So it's a long-term investment. And second, it's about young people, developing them into leaders which will spread it to others. And third, that it's a 90-some% voluntary, probably 99 on a worldwide scale, so that you get bang for your buck. How would you look upon the investment case? Is it a good investment to go for scouting?
Well, I think in terms of the financial resources that one puts behind the scouting movement, some of this is going to go toward physical infrastructure, which will serve generations of young people for years to come. And a lot of the donors that I engage with, that's what I'm talking to them about, is, again, providing the physical infrastructure that is going to serve thousands and thousands of young people for many, many years to come. So there is a tremendous return on that. But the real product that we're all putting our money into is the kids. And what kind of young adults are we going to produce from the program? And clearly that has a very long return to it as well, and hopefully supports them as they become adults to want to stay engaged as well. There have been a number of good studies done around the impact of scouting in terms of the kinds of results. In the Boy Scouts of America, there was a recent study done by a professor at Baylor University down in Waco, where he examined what happened to young people who had been through the scouting program in terms of high school graduation rates, in terms of crime, in terms of ultimately success, as we might think about it as individuals, and the numbers are dramatic. And I would recommend anyone go to that study, look at the results of that study, because it's quite dramatic, the impact on young people who have been in scouting and young people who have not been in scouting on their likelihood of success later. And in particular, even their success in school, because there's no question these values and, again, this ability of this interaction with their peers carries over then into their academic environment, where they're much more successful academically as well. So there is a huge return, I think, on any investment that one would make in the scouting movement in terms of what you're going to receive back in your local community, but also longer term with the kinds of young people that will be entering the workforce in the future.
Yeah. Think of Amnesty International. Their cause is the protection of human rights. Think of the Red Cross, Red Crescent. Their cause is to help people avoid suffer from war or disasters, whatever it is. How would you phrase the cause of scouting?
Well, we kind of returned to almost where we started the conversation, and I think the cause of scouting really is embodied in the oath and the law, and so much of it is around fulfilling our duty. In the Boy Scouts of America oath, it's our duty to God and country, it's our duty to others, and finally it's our duty to ourselves. And I think the role and the mission of scouting, as I grew up with it and as the organization I work with, is to ensure that young people, as they grow and mature, understand that there are three pillars that they take through life with them. And they have a duty to their God, as they would define that, a duty to their country, they have a duty to others, and that the third and the last is their duty to their self. But they do have a duty to themselves, and that duty is to continue to improve yourself, continue to maintain your personal integrity, and continue to be a person who can be a role model for others. You have that responsibility to yourself. Take care of yourself physically, take care of yourself mentally and morally, so that you can fulfill your responsibility, the other two pillars. I think that is the real mission and role of scouting, is to produce adults who enter our society with that kind of a value system.
Thank you very much. One additional question.
Okay?
The impact of producing adults with that value system, in what fashion does that make the world a better place to be?
Many of the challenges that we face today arise out of conflict. Conflict which our society has difficulty resolving. There's no doubt in my mind that to the extent we have leaders who are better able to understand perspectives and points of views of others, to enter that conflict with that servant perspective, and have a capability to work through those differences towards